But the theater served as a community hall, the theater, weddings, dances, and whenever there was a dance, whether it was in Cadomin or Laska or any of the towns, well, I mean, they came, they just from all the towns would come to the dance, and I said that'd be a big evening in town.
Weren't you a
Join.
boxer as well in Mercoal?
Oh, Marie. Yeah, I did. Yeah, we had boxing club too. I forgot about that.
Welcome to the Wilderness Wavelength Podcast.
Welcome to it. My name is George. Scott Sunderwald, as always. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks, George. Looking forward to the podcast tonight. This is going to be great.
Yeah, this one has been like a requested episode. We've had people emailing saying, hey, we got to do like some episodes like Highway 40 South and talk about the Coal Branch and dig into that. And someone that actually was recommended to us even, Marie from Candles of Cadomin. She is a Cadomin resident. Welcome to the podcast, Marie.
Thank you. Thank you.
How long have you been in Cadomin for?
I bought my place out here in November 2020. So, and I did not really know Cadomin before that at all. So.
Yeah. Where'd you come from?
At that time, I was working for Alberta Health out of Westlock.
Okay.
So I was out there and then with the pandemic, we were all working from home because I was in a manager role. And I covered the North Zone with my my scope of practice at that time. And my boss said, as long as I lived in the North, I could keep working from home. And I thought, okay, well, where are the mountains out in the West? So I just started trying to find some trails and some places to take my dogs out on because everyone was locked up and weren't really being encouraged to even go outside. So I thought I'd just get out as far as I could in the bush. So started exploring even like Smith and Fort Assiniboine and the old Klondike trails out there. And then happened to stumble my way to Cadomin. I didn't even know it existed. And I was thinking, what, there's something south of Hinton? Like, who knew? Or there's people out in south. But yeah, I came out one weekend and hit the Cardinal Divide, and that was it. I'm like, I gotta live here. So I think the next weekend I saw a few places, made an offer on the house, and it was accepted. And yeah, came a
Boom.
couple months later.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, it doesn't. Mhm.
When we asked you to come on the podcast, you're like, yeah, I like you mentioned, you moved in 2020, so you're like, I don't have like a ton of history and a ton of knowledge, but you're like, I'm meeting people, I'm learning the area. And so can you not to put you on the spot, but can you introduce our other guest we have tonight too and his story a little bit?
Yeah. Through my business venture that I started in 2023, just before that I was becoming more and more aware of the incredibly rich coal mining and pioneering history of Cadomin and the indigenous history as well. And there was this awesome book called Oh, the Coal Branch by Tony Ross, also an original coal brancher. And she wrote about the Spanach family out of Mercoal. There's a whole page even dedicated. I think the wedding photo of Amelia and Bob Spanach was even in there. And there's a couple other books too that are focused on the Spanach family and just an incredible family, just the legacy that they created from George, correct me if I'm wrong, George Spanach, from the basically the 20s through to the late 40s, and then the mine shut down in 59 in Mercoal. But just the infrastructure that was built by Bob Spanach, the patriarch, and that was carried forward then by his wife Amelia, and then just the tragedy and everything around that family, and what I think the resilience that was just captured just a little bit in those books. And so I was inspired to do up a little excerpt on my Kennels Academy Facebook page about this. And someone I think maybe tagged the son, George Spanach, in that. And we started chatting online. He reached out to me and then met in person at beautiful heritage cabin in Mercoal, and just kind of, I think, formed a friendship, and I think just kind of a vibe from there. Hey, George.
Correct. Yeah, 100% correct. Yes.
George, so as Marie mentioned, so you have were you born in Mercoal then?
Yes, I was born in Mercoal and in 1944 and left in 1959 when the mine shut down.
Wow. I was doing a little bit of history on Mercoal and looking it up. It was like the population in 41 was like 91 people or so. And then in 51, it was like 977. Like I just growing up in Mercoal, did it seem like so it's like part of the coal branch, the trains are going through. So is everyone working just trying to get the coal out and put it on the trains? Or like what was your memories of early life in Mercoal?
Yeah, the mine was the main source of employment, and it was working from the late 40s right up until 1959. And my understanding is that the company that then owned it from Vancouver, the profit margins weren't great enough, so they shut it down and they concentrated on the forestry in British Columbia. But yeah, I mean, growing up in a small town like that, you just related some numbers, and those numbers have been tossed around all over the map. Yellowhead County, just I saw something just the other day where they zoomed in, had some aerial photographs and things like that. But Merkel at Cadomin was the largest town out of all of them as far as population. The high school was in Cadomin, and the rest of the towns were bused to the high school because they were the only ones that had the high school. And after Cadomin shut down, well, then Merkel got the high school, and then Laska shut down. So Merkel grew and grew and grew in the 50s because the miners were coming to wherever they would get employment, and Merkel was alive and thriving, and so that's how it got. I guess somewhere around 1,000. I don't know where it is. When I saw the article from Yellowhead County, I started to take my memory back to all the homes and people I knew, and so I've only got halfway down because I have some lapses there. I have to call on others. But yeah, no, it was just great as a kid growing up. I mean, the freedom was. I mean, you didn't come home till it was dark, and like every other small little town, I guess, in those days, and maybe even now in rural Alberta, I'm not sure. But yeah, the freedom and everybody knew one another. There's a bad side of that thing too. And the party line telephone and they'd let you know when they were listening in because you could hear them click on. And the switchboard, the drugstore. The drugstore was the main place. It had the telephone. It had the drugstore was more of a soda fountain. And yeah, we had everything in Merkel. We had we had curling rink and we had a theater. Um, those are the two and of course hockey rink. We when Laska closed down, they gave the arena. Laska had an arena, and they had a really good hockey team during the day too. Anyway, so we just got the roof on, and Merkel and the mine shut down, so we never got to enjoy the arena. But Evansburg now has the arena, so it just hadn't
Oh,
been
wow.
down the line, yeah. So.
So there were so many small coal mining towns back then. I mean, famously Mountain Park, Merkel, Luscar, Robb in the town of Brule. Hinton had a coal mine, and then all the way up the Blue Diamond Mine into the Wilmore. And I'm sure I'm forgetting others that were in the area. Pocahontas, of course, in Jasper. Did these small towns have a lot of cross-pollination? Like, were you meeting to play hockey games or hanging out with each other, or were you kind of in your own little community and that's where you stayed?
No, some of those towns you mentioned, Pocahontas, and they weren't considered part of the coal branch. But as I say, Lusker, the mine would hire hockey players per se, and give them a token job. And they won the provincial title through the Lusker Indians, I think, 3 times. And a lot of those fellows, if you go back to the Edmonton Flyers, which was the pro hockey team in Edmonton during those days, a farm team for Detroit Red Wings, many of those players from Lasker ended up on the Edmonton Flyer team. Never made it to the pros, but that's the kind of caliber of hockey they played. They were in a league of their own. But yeah, I mean, the kids would play. The odd time we'd go to Edson, and that was a big thrill because a lot of people, that's the first time they ever left the coal branch. They'd never been, they've never been to a town per se. But yeah, and Cadomin, Lusker, they always would go. Had the teams playing. Mountain Park was the first town to shut down, so that was eliminated those. But Mountain Park was very active as well during the day. But and there's another little town that nobody seems to remember. I don't know if Marie, are you familiar with KD?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
let's go.
that one. Yeah, that gets to like the reason that I know that is when my dad first got to the coal branch, he worked in Mountain Park, then he went to KD, And then when that little operation shut down, he ended up in Laska and then into Mercoal. So they bounced around where the work was. Yeah, for
I've heard that the mining managers used to kind of poach anybody who was coming off the train at the time that looked like they could be a hockey player. They would kind of try to poach them with the job and try to stack the teams a little bit because it was pretty important for the championship piece of it. But.
yeah. Talking about the train, when the train would come through, there was no real schedule, so they would just leave the freight at the station. And then, and most times it was in the evening. So, I mean, the honesty that was in the community, you just went and got whatever you ordered and picked it up off the platform at the rail station the next morning. So, it's so many values in small towns back then, you know, as we age, you see the values are disappearing more and more, but society changes as well. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Well, we do get the sense that there was a strong community in these small towns, and I know there's sort of this homecoming in the Coal Branch. People come back year after year and relive these memories, or they want to be buried in these old villages, and many of them that aren't there anymore. I've seen photographs, and when people think of places like Mercoal or Mountain Park, they might think of a really rustic, rundown looking place, but quite the opposite. I mean, these pictures are really beautiful. Mountain Park, especially. I grew up close to Switzerland uh, when I was younger, and when I look at pictures of Mountain Park, it has that Swiss village feeling to it. I
Yeah.
mean, these were very attractive communities and at very high elevations. I think Mountain Park's at about 6,000 feet. It was the highest elevation town anywhere in Canada at its time. And I feel it's such a shame that they all got or many of them got bulldozed down and destroyed. You know, it'd be so great to visit these old communities now. And what are your memories of walking around in these towns? And did you have a theater and you know, places to do sports? And what was it like?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we had a theater, and the sports was curling. Curling was big in the winter, and of course hockey. Those were the two. And then in the summertime, it was basically fishing and baseball. Those were and bocce. They had a bocce court
Wow.
at the Legion because there was quite a few Europeans, and they were called bunkhouses in the day. Today, I guess they'd be called apartments for the single miners. That's where they would live, and you know, there was no cooking facilities, but that was their sleeping quarters. And yeah, they were big in the bocce and horseshoes, you know, those kind of things. And but the theater served as a community hall. The theater, weddings, dances, and whenever there was a dance, whether it was in Cadomin or Laska or any of the towns, well, I mean, they came. They just from all the towns would come to the dance, and I said that'd be a big evening in town.
Weren't you a boxer as well in Mercoal?
Oh, Marie. Yeah, I did. Yeah, we had boxing club too. I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah.
What was
Your nose doesn't look too broken. You must have protected well.
Well, I can't. I think we were about 14 or 15, I think, in those days. And one of the fellows from Merkel went on to win the Golden Gloves in his division, which was, you know, the top of the line as far as being competitive if he won the Golden Gloves. So yeah, no, there were some good athletes that came out of the Coal Branch. From Cadomin, Miller Marcetta, he played in the NHL. And there was and I can't remember the other guy. He was from Hinton. I can't recall his name now, but I earlier told you that wasn't part of the Coal Branch. There's a fellow by the name of Jack Williams who's from Rob. He was a councilman, and he kept referring to rural and Pocahontas in the Coal Branch, and I would just definitely tell him no, they were not. So, but you know, if I have to say this about Marie, in the few short years she's been there. She's given more exposure to the Alberta Coal Branch than it's ever received before. And a few of us tried to expose that, like Crowsnest Pass and Drumheller and that area that everybody knows about those places. And we just couldn't get anything going as far as history. for our line up to the Coal Branch. It was, and then after, when you mentioned they used to have annual 5-year annual homecomings, and they get up to 5,000 people.
Wow.
And then they knocked it down to 4 because people were leaving the planet. And then everybody aged out, and they didn't have anything for the young guys, people to advance it, and we lost it. So, and prior to that, after they all shut down, there would be a New Year's dance in Edmonton, the Polish Hall, which it was probably the biggest facility in Edmonton at that time for occasions, and we would fill it. It was the people were really, really jointly together, and I guess you could use the term, they won't love one another.
Were you doing like history before, Marie, or like what drives you? What drives your interest in this?
It's a bit of a rabbit hole, but I've thought about that a lot, and I think it's a very much an origin story. It's so my parents were 10 and 8 years old when they saw the Russian tanks rolling through their country, Czechoslovakia at that time, liberating the country from the Nazis, and then of course communism came, hard and heavy from that. So my parents knew their whole lives that that wasn't a system that was that allowed for any opportunity or any freedom, and it was just, I mean, they saw family members go missing. My grandma was in prison for several years, and I think just from their understanding that this wasn't a life that they could live or they could bring children into, that, and then their endeavor to escape communism in '84. I was, oh gosh, I was not quite 3 at that time, and my sisters were, I think, 4 and 5. From that, and just, their escape route through the former Yugoslavia as well, and it's receiving help from all their villagers to get across that country, ultimately to end up in a refugee camp in Austria. But that's where, like, the connection with Yugoslavia and with George's family, that kind of hit me hard, because I was like, oh, what's the chances that, because there were so many Yugoslavians that helped my parents by like towing their car. They'd run out of gas with their tractor, and then be like, oh, my cousin's got a farm, he'll hook you up with your car and tow you another 10 kilometers, and then just kind of like went down the way through the country that way. But I just always wondered, like, what's the chance that our paths in some way crossed in another country decades ago, George, with our family members, just that, because it's such a small world. But yeah, and I think not really having the ability to grow up with extended family, because they're primarily also in Europe. It was really important to me to always just kind of be part of a bigger connection wherever I was as an adult. And the military was a big part of that for me when I was 17, and kind of jumped into that for over a decade. But from then on out, it was, I think, just connecting to the environment around me, and that trail running kind of became my next kind of way to connect. And then, I don't know, just like I said, I stumbled into Cadomin and the history here, and it just hit me in my heart and my soul. And I'm like, I just wanted to really understand all that had come before me, and to had built this beautiful area. And I have a somewhat of a sense of the loss and the struggle of, trying to start in a new country and not knowing the language and not having resources, and just building a life from nothing, really, as my parents did with us. So I don't know, there's some meaning layers I haven't yet uncovered yet for myself, but it just, I'm just hungry for it, I guess, if I can sum it up that way. But yeah.
Your passion comes through. It's just like, oh yeah, you want to hear about Cadomin? It's like, learn it from Marie. It's like she's one of the newest residents there too, but just so passionate. It's awesome to see. I love this. George, I'm just curious too. So the mine shuts down in '59. So as soon as the mine shuts down, the town is just like, we're done. Everything shut up. We're moving. Is that like everyone's on the way out?
Pretty much. Yeah, because my mother was in business, the mine gave her a heads up a couple of months, 3 months, whatever it was prior to. Yeah, so they just, I don't think the miners got 3 weeks notice. And then everybody's looking for work and helter-skelter, and that's exactly how it was. They went wherever they could work, and lots of them didn't have any other skills besides mining. And lots of some of the houses were owned by the mine, by the company, and the private ones, they went to Hinton, Edson, Wildwood, Evansburg, Glenwood. They just scattered all that. I suppose the Reno went to Evansburg, I think it was. So yeah, it was kind of a fire sale as far as getting out of town, and they didn't have much money to even move their goods out. That was the sad part about it. And it was a very sad day. It was July 17th, 1959, when they shut the power off in the town, and I remember it distinctly. The hardships galore. I mean, I know 3 families that rented a house in Edmonton, and because they pooled their resources, and the 3 of them could afford to have one house because it was bad times. So you're used to employment, and all of a sudden you got no checks coming in and not much savings. It's tough, as it is today. It doesn't matter what era we're in. Financially, it's tough. But yeah, it's and it was tough on. I want to say this because it is in the book, in many books. I know the 10 books that are written about the coal branch, the Alberta Coal Branch, but my mother was 23 when she lost her husband, and he was quite an entrepreneur. He was in the logging business, and he had a shop in Mercoal for repair his own equipment, and in the mine basically forced him into opening up to service the public because they were the number 1 customer. And so then he opened the garage, became a GM dealership, and then he built a theater and for the community, and then he built a rooming house, we called it. It was rooms upstairs with a cafe on the bottom end, and it burned down after about a year and a half in service, and they never did rebuild it. So when he died, my mother was 23, and she had a tough time. She lost a daughter about 2 years prior to that, and then she loses her husband, and she's got these businesses, and no will, and trust company came in, and thank God she had my dad had everything in his head, and about 6 months prior to his death, he hired this guy as a bookkeeper. And he left in September to go to university, and my father got killed in October, and he quit school and came back to help out. And he was just going to do that, for a little bit, and he stayed till the mine closed down. So wow. He had the knowledge. So from the public trustee, there was no records. He had no records, no books. So they took some of the equipment and hid in the bush, so it didn't exist, because she had to buy it all back. So in the transaction, she lost the theater, and then with the dealership, General Motors wouldn't give it to a woman, so she got it signed over to her brother. However they did that, I don't know. And so yeah, and then in the end, I mean, she didn't know where to go, what to do, and it was a mess that she didn't have anybody to lean on. At 23, her father. Hard worker, came from former Yugoslavia, and I mean he couldn't financially and the wherewithal, and so a guy came by and he said he's going to open up Coalspur, and that he could put this equipment to work if it was upgraded. So she traded a bunch of the goods in and got 2 brand new D7 Caterpillars and went to work for this guy, and he shut down after 3 weeks, and she never got paid. So now she's got these 2 pieces of equipment with more debt, and he just went. It was a hardship for our family when the mine shut down. Because we weren't the prominent family in town, but we didn't lack anything, and. So yeah, you go from riches to rags kind of story, and so that was a tough thing for my mother, but she survived it and pulled through it, and everything worked out well.
Yeah,
I've read a few of the stories, and it just the hardships really hit hard when you hear what people went through. I mean, I think the first prospecting of coal was Mary Gregg in 1906, and then from there to your time there, George. I mean, people were dealing with the Great Depression. There were two world wars. Many of the coal miners went back to fight in Europe. These underground mines where there were coal explosions with the coal dust or coal in their lungs or coal mines caving in and without proper doctors dealing with the births of children and stuff. It's just you read these stories, you think, my goodness, people had it rough, and yet there seems to be at the same time such a strong sense of community and people pulling together. And you read about the good times, you mentioned about the sports as well. And I'm just curious, what did people do when they weren't working, which they were doing a lot of hard work, but did they go out hiking and fishing as well? I mean, for all of us living here in the Northern Rockies, that's a big thing. We love the mountains and the forests and hunting and fishing and hiking and camping. Was that part of the lifestyle?
Oh, I would say it was by far the majority were hunters and fishers, no question about that. But they were, as you mentioned, they're hard workers, and the Legion was a popular spot. After work they'd come, and we had a lot of and right word for that, neglected children as well. The parents, the father would come off work and go to the Legion. His wife would meet him there, and the kids fended for themselves. And I have to relate this story. There was a fella in Mercoal that was a bachelor, we thought, and then I don't know what year, it doesn't matter. These two boys show up, and they were his sons that were in some facility in Edmonton, and he sent them back, and they came back about a month later. And I mean, this kind of thing. So he let them stay, but he put a lock on each and every cupboard in the house, and he's the only one that had a key. And those two boys would come to town or to school, and we at that time they had brought in a teacher to kind of settle some of the school down, a New Zealander, and which he did. That was his job. But I mean, he had a big heart. He'd say to these two boys every morning, "Did you have breakfast?" Knowing well they didn't. And he said, "Well, you go down to room 6," and he had cereal stuff there for them. And there was quite a bit of that where and there was lots of not lots, but uh, that's public knowledge. I mean, we talked about Carl Kaiser. His wife left him because of his alcoholism, and just left him with 3 kids. And I have a good friend of mine that's in Grand Prairie. Same thing happened to him. His mother just left. The father was mean. He wouldn't provide, and so there was lots of that hardship along. But everybody dubbed in and helped those people out too. That's the thing. They basically adopted them and everybody. But I mean, hard time to ever do that to people. I'm not sure. But, yeah, we had that, but it was a real close knit community, as you say. If there was anybody in need, there were people there for them. Midwives. There was no hospital. My mother had a midwife, and so on it goes. But yeah, I would guess all small communities are that close. I would think, even probably today, like the farming community. I'm sure they are.
Before we started like recording, we were talking about Carl. George, can you tell us a story about Carl and what he was raising in his kitchen there, his living room?
Yeah, Carl. He raised a brown cub bear from it was just I don't know how old it was, but just a little cub to maturity. And I was there in the yard with him one day when he fed this bear a marshmallow mouth to mouth. The bear was on his hind legs, and Carl stuck this marshmallow out, and the bear just nibbled on it. And I don't have photos of that, but I do have photos of the bear standing on his hind legs, like looking into, Carl looked like they were hugging each other kind of thing. And the bear, I think his daughter was concerned that the bear might turn on him one day, and they moved the bear to Rocky Mountain House, which is about an hour, maybe an hour and a half by car. and it made its way back. And I don't know whatever happened to it, whether they disposed of the bear or what. But yeah, no, he was quite the character. So he was a town marshal. He was the mayor. He was the only one there. He's the only one left.
Yeah. So what does Mercoal look like nowadays? Like you still have, so you have your heritage home. Is the heritage home, like, was that the one back there in the 40s, or is this a new one you guys built, or what's the story behind that one?
No, my father built it in 1940.
Okay.
Well, I think he started in 39, but finished in 1940. And the county came by, I think it was the year after COVID, and asked if I'd be interested. And well, what's entailed? And they said, well, we'll go through it. So there's restrictions what you can do with the home. You can't, there's a lot of improvements you can't make. You have to make it authentic. And so at that time, too, there was the province wanted to throw us out. It's leased land. Cadomin and Rob, two places that are in Coal Branch, you can buy your property there, but in Mercoal you can't. And we fought that for 15 years. And we didn't win the war. We won the battle. We got the lease extended. They wouldn't sell us the land. So that was good out for me. I thought if they deem it a heritage house, so they can't kick us out. We can't move a heritage house. I don't think. I don't know, but that's what happened with that. I'm glad I did it because now the next generation will know what it's like. And I didn't have when mine shut down. Of course, you don't have any amenities, and so I didn't do anything, and because my kids liked it, and they would go up with their kids, and coal oil lamps and partying and stuff. And I went, geez, they burned the place down, so I got power in there, and then then I put the well in, so we have all the amenities of home. But at least they went through some years where they knew they had to bring some coal in and some wood in, and coal oil, and get the lamps going, and they start the fires and those kind of things. And that's how we heat it today, is just by coal and wood.
Yeah, and you guys still, like, you're out there regularly during the summer. Can you give us, paint us a little picture of what Mercoal looks like now? Like, how many houses are around, or how many people are out there during the summer?
I think there's 22, let's call them cabins.
Yeah.
And there's one mother and son live there year round. I'm not sure if I don't think they work. I don't know what the situation is. They kind of keep to themselves, and it's quite active in the summertime, more so in the summer than in the winter. But the winter, like I know that there was 3 cabins that I think even this year they do New Year's there, and everybody knows. Of course, everybody knows everybody's only 22, but it's well kept. It's pristine. Everybody looks after their property, and we have a cemetery there that this year the Yellowhead County now is looking after it. And I just have to shout out there a fellow from Hinton, Brett Simmons. He took it upon himself to chain link fence the cemetery, and we went up and built the road for him. And I think that was just a great thing what he did. He said he did it in memory of his brother not buried there, because you can't bury anybody there anymore. But people still come up and put little plaques alongside the fence, and you can in Mountain Park. You can leave, but in Mercoal they won't allow it. So, yeah, I mean that's again the thoughtfulness of the town, the closeness of the town. I mean that cost that fellow a lot of money, because they have to bring the concrete from Hinton, and everything had to come from Hinton. So. It looks good. It looks really good, and there's a nice sign that's been put up there, and they've honored and named the World War I veterans that are buried there, and a few from World War II as well.
Wow. Yeah, it was like one of those things. I think it was last May. There was like a forest fire in the area, and they had an evacuation for Mercoal and Rob. And was that something that seemed pretty close to home? Were you following that fire last year?
Yeah, it was very close to home, and we pins and needles there for a while because it got within a kilometer, and if the winds wouldn't shift, I think maybe they would have might have destroyed the town. But again, a shout out to the firemen. They had they were setting up things there at midnight, and they had these tubs full of water and hoses. Every home had one. We were really fortunate because we're close to a creek. So we had a good water supply. The other place just had these tanks, but we would have had enough water there till the fire ran out. So, yeah, it was a concern. It was a major concern for all of us. Then what? Then you totally destroyed. No more Heritage House, no more Mercoal, no nothing. I'd have to move in with Marie.
There you go. Marie, do you find Cadomin so now that you're living in Cadomin, are you running like you mentioned trail running? Are you kind of going around like you're exploring Mercoal and Mountain Park, and is this kind of the spots you're going now?
Well, the trail running, I did a lot of it up until a couple summers ago, and I actually kind of did my own self-supported trail or ultra run out here just to kind of still be immersed in that world. But with having two dogs, it's harder for me to just up and leave for a weekend. So I do a lot of the trails around here. I've definitely had a lot of the run-ins with the wildlife around here though too. So I always try to temper my enthusiasm for the trails with, okay, is it spring when they're coming out of hibernation with the bears? Is it fall? Is it rut season? Sometimes I'll just kind of stay more with their cell range if I'm feeling a little uncertain. Or also we have the wonderful extended winters up here in Cadomin at 5,000 feet elevation, I think we are. So just kind of also being mindful of that. But I think up towards Mountain Park, that the Cardinal Divide Road is a nice road I like to run on. But it's also been a scene of my very first face-to-face grizzly encounter was on that road too. So I don't know. I don't let the fear hold me back, but I try to just make calculated decisions as to where I'm going. And it's nice to be in more populated areas sometimes, but also no guarantee, because I've had encounters right behind the Legion too with a grizzly that was right there on the trail. So it's like you just never know, right? Yeah.
It's got a bit of a history for grizzlies. I know even in Hinton, I back on the forest, we get black bears in the backyard. We've got mountain lions, but the grizzlies tend to stay away. But years ago in Cadomin, and I can't remember the exact date, but there was the man who was jogging around town and got mauled. From what I recall, he got pretty badly mauled, and the bear moved on. And then he got up and yelled at the bear because his adrenaline was running, and the bear came back and gave him a second mauling.
Wow.
And then he sauntered down to Hole in the Wall and got some help there from the general store. And they have plenty of pictures at Hole in the Wall of these bears that are right in town, big grizzly bears. So it must be in the back of your mind that this could happen anytime. Have you had other close encounters with bears or other wildlife out there?
Yeah. So I think that encounter was in 2014, and I have it in mind because there was one in 2004. There was a grizzly encounter. A fellow got injured. I think it was a hunter. 2014, and then last year was 2024. Or the year before. So I was like, okay, if it's every 10 years, I'm gonna be extra careful. Not that the grizzlies have a clock, but I was just like, there's some pattern here maybe. So, yeah, my first encounter was up. I was just walking right beside the Hall Road where the Cardinal Divide Road is, and I had my two dogs. They're on e-collars, so they're usually in proximity, especially my older guy. That's my little co-pilot. But I was just kind of walking, picking up trash, just beer cans, things like that, unfortunately, along that road. And I saw that my one dog had stopped, and he was maybe 10 feet in front of me, and I looked, and it just kind of like my line of sight traveled from up his back end up along his spine up to his head and his nose, and then there was another nose there, and he and a grizzly were actually sniffing each other, which
Wow.
it was a yearling. I guess it had just been, I'm sure it had just been like kind of let loose by mom, and more dumb and curious than anything, thank goodness. But like I just remember like everything just kind of froze because I was like, this thing was like a ghost. I mean, you don't hear them, right? And my dogs had the bear bells on, which did nothing that day. Maybe not any day, but that day especially not. And it had come up over the berm where between the Hall Road and the Cardinal Divide, there's a bit of a berm of dirt. And so I didn't know that was on the other side of it. And it must have heard us and was probably curious and just came up over it when my head was down. And before he was right there just sniffing my dogs. So I just kind of started whispering at my dogs and backing up slowly, just be like, come on, guys, like trying not to like make it obvious that I was there too, kind of thing. And then the bear just kind of came down the rest of the berm, was just standing there on the road, and then my other dog, who's a bit of a wrecking ball, she's never turns down a challenge, unfortunately, and she's just starts barking at this dog, and she's ready to just like do battle, kind of like George in his boxing days, maybe. But so the bear now is really curious, like, okay, well, what's this, right? This is kind of new and interesting. And I had a bear banger, thankfully, and I always keep them loaded, but not sprung. So I fired that off over the bear's shoulder, and I think I just remember my hand was shaking so badly. I'm like, I pray this will aim correctly, but because the adrenaline hits so fast, right? And the bear is kind of like not super fast, but just kind of like, oh, okay. It just turns around and starts kind of loping away. And now my dog Pickles, the instigator, now she's like extra excited because like, oh, there's like something moving quickly, and so she starts barking even more at it. And the bear hears that and he stops, like he just kind of like skids to stop, and he turns around and he starts walking back towards us. And I'm like trying to reload my bear banger, and both my hands are shaking now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you should definitely always have two of those on you. Is kind of my life lesson from that, because it's really hard to. They're really fine.
Reds,
Like for
yeah.
this yeah, and it's easy to cross thread when you're so yeah, just have at least two loaded at any given point out there. But yeah, and he started coming back, and I still had my bear spray on me, but I don't like to use the bear spray. Well, one, we have the wind out there, and two, to use a bear spray, it should be within 10 meters or so. And for me, that's really close. The bear banger, I think, is like at least 100 meters. So, I mean, as much distance as possible to try to prevent something that's curious, right? So that's kind of my first line of approach. But out of the corner of my eye, though, I started seeing this like cloud of dust kind of coming down the Hall Road. So I knew there was a mine truck coming. So like immediately I'm like, okay, new plan. I don't know if I grabbed one of the dogs out of my arm, but I just remember I sprinted up over the berm and like basically dove in front of this truck. It was like, stop. Um, and then I don't know what he was thinking. He's probably I'm glad he stopped regardless. But he rolled down his window, and I was like, "There's a bear right there." I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, can you just kind of like walk out beside the truck? Like you just keep driving your direction. I'll just kind of stay beside the truck. I don't need to go in the truck. Just kind of keep the truck between me and the bear, kind of thing, right? So, and yeah, and he let me kind of walk beside him for about a mile because I was about 2 miles from my truck at that point where I was parked. And yeah, he just slowly drove about 5 kilometers an hour, and I just kind of, shook because I was walking, trying to off the adrenaline. But yeah, and the bear, thankfully, was just a curious one. It wasn't a mama with cubs, but I don't know. I'd hope that a mama with cubs would have maybe heard the bear bells and maybe like left the scene, but you never know, right? It's nature. It doesn't follow your plans, so yeah.
Scott, you always say those bear bells are kind of like dinner bells, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the bear bells aren't known to be too helpful, but and with the bangers, we found the screamers work better than the bangers. So Marie, you might want to get yourself some of those screamers. They're typically
Dreamers.
the green ones rather than the orange ones. The orange or red are the bangers, and the green ones are screamers, and they'll shriek and fly right at the bear. So I know in the conservation officers and fish and wildlife officers tend to use the screamers over the bangers, but sounds like you came out all right there. So good for you. And I think you did the right thing with that
Yeah.
mine truck, keeping the big truck between you and the bear. Now you've had some close calls with bighorn sheep too, hey?
Yeah, yeah, up the Tower Trail there. It was, gosh, September. So I think there is that like start of the rut or active rut. I'm never really sure about the timeline, but
Their rut's in
yeah, good
November.
for you
So when
guys'
was
knowledge in
this?
that.
When was the
This
encounter?
was like late September,
Late September. So that'd be
late
a bit
September up the
bit
Tower.
early for their rut, but yeah, they might start heating up already.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe it was a little bit of the mob mentality because there's a bunch of young rams hanging out, which isn't uncommon up on that tower trail. Just if you guys know Cadomin, it's the old mine entrance south of town, and there's a couple, or at least one old road that kind of goes up just north of the old mine entrance. And there's some beautiful. I know lots of hunters go up there in the fall, but beautiful old trails, quad trails, hiking trails, and the Tower Trail as well, which kind of goes up over the Hall Road on this designated kind of access spot. And you can get amazing kind of views in between these two mountain peaks up there and stuff. And the old Pit Lake is up there too. But so I just go up there. I wanted to go hang out to the Pit Lake, which is a nice spot to kind of just get some pretty views. But there's a group of rams that hang out there, and the females and all that too. But these rams were just, they saw us, me and my dogs, and I don't know why they were so curious, but like it was from a distance because you could watch them coming. It was like watching um watching your doom approaching in a way. It's just like, why do they keep coming closer? And then you're like, okay, I'm just gonna go back down the trail, and then you go back down and you kind of look around the corner like, oh shoot, like they're still coming. And they weren't running, but they were just like this concerted effort to go in our direction. It was well communicated amongst them because they were all coming the same way. And I started just doing like the clapping, the noising, or the noises, and my dogs would occasionally bark and whatnot. And maybe it was my dogs that intrigued them. I don't know if there's some like um, passive aggressive memory they have of like wolf encounters or something. They're like, this is our chance to settle a score or something. Um, but yeah, I ended up using the bear banger. Probably, well, I wouldn't say they were closer than 50 meters, and maybe I should have deployed it sooner. But the bear bang, like one shot, and they were gone. And I wasn't trying to hit them or anything with it. And it was the banger that I was using. I just wanted a loud, startling noise, and that was super effective. So even if I'm not thinking about bears, or even if it's like the middle of winter, which you never know what you might encounter, I think I just will always carry a banger, just even for a moose or whatnot. I think it would be good. Yeah, because I have my non-restricted firearms license, but I like to have my hands free because I like to look for treasure and forage and eat berries and stuff. I don't want to be, I don't know, I'm more I'm more intent on having my hands free to feed my belly than I am on carrying a gun with me. So my priorities are in order that way, but yeah.
It does seem
But
like,
yeah,
so
very much
on
so.
your Candles of Cadomin page there, like you're always posting like pictures and videos of like the treasures you're finding. Any like real memorable or like treasures that really stand out for you?
And I use the word treasure, and I appreciate that everyone's so kind when I use that word.
There's
They're
some
not
good stuff there.
I mean, I'm enthralled by it, honestly, and it's quite cool when you go even just outside of town before the pavement even ends, which in Cadomin, isn't very far outside of town. Up on the hillside, I think that the philosophy, and George, correct me if I'm wrong, was any garbage that you couldn't burn, you just kind of threw over a hill. Is that about right? Back in the day?
It used to be,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it used to be, but not anymore. On that vein, every year we clean the garbage. We pick the highway from Colesford to Robb, and Scott, we have never found a thing there outside of the most popular thing is. I read this many years ago. For those that like to embellish on the job, the most popular thing is Mickey's a vodka. So out of everything you find along the highway, I mean, there's pop cans, beer cans, oh, and Tim Horton cups. But nothing of value. I've never found anything of value, nor around Mercoal. I mean, I scrounged around there for so long that rusty old pails and boots and cutlery, but rusted old stuff. But I've never found. I did. I found one coal pail that was intact, and other than that, and that's a nice keepsake because I don't think they make those anymore. I don't know.
Mm.
So,
One of the
and just
best kept secrets down there, and I'm curious to know if you've hiked this. I'm sure you have. Is the old railway hidden in the valley with the trestle bridges? I've done it starting from Prospect Creek there from that parking lot and heading back down towards Cadomin, and it is fantastic. I mean, you might need a machete to get through some of those overgrown areas, and there's lots of grizzly sign in there, so definitely bring your bear spray and your screamers or whatever you like to take. But it's fantastic. There's waterfalls and
Yeah.
these tall trestle bridges, and yeah. Any memories of hiking those, either of you, George, Marie?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marie.
No, it's okay. I'll go down a rabbit hole with that. So you go first, George. Yeah.
No, I didn't back in the day, and I haven't. Just from the road. I used to fish that creek back in the day, but no, I haven't hiked where you were, Scott. There, but if I may mention, you mentioned the hole in the wall. Interesting story there. The fellow that ran that for the last 20 years was born in Cadomin, and his father had the grocery store in Leland, which was right next to Cadomin. And when they shut down, they moved to Mercoal, bought the hardware store. Charlie went on to work. He retired, and he bought the store in Cadomin, moved back to Cadomin, told his wife 10 years because she had never lived in a place like Cadomin. So he promised her 10 years. Well, they were there 20. And you all probably know that, she had roses growing outside there, and he had the best burgers and, around. And he never had very many words. I have friends that refuse to go there. They went to school with them because they say, I haven't seen the guy in 5 years. I walk in, I say, hey, Charlie, how you doing? He said, good. So, but yeah, I thought that was an interesting story that he was born there and he goes back and spends, all he guess he would have been 78 or 79 when he moved away, kind of thing. And so that's a neat story. And there had a lot of character in there. And it's sad that it's gone. It's really sad because, it was back from the day and he had lots of, history stuff in there. And I don't know what happened to that. Do you know, Marie, all that stuff he had in there?
A lot of it's still there. I think Chuck and Mark took some of it back when they went to Victoria for retirement, but a lot of it's still there. And I know just as a nod to Chuck and his like huge mountain burgers that he had and the huge buns, the current owners that own the motel as well, Mitch and Leah. Mitch put one of those, those is it cross? What are those saws?
Crossbow saw, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he's got that hanging up kind of near the ceiling, and it says Chuck's bread knife written on
Yeah,
it. 'Cause
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that. Did you say
yeah.
she sold the motel?
No, they own the motel still. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But they have the cafe there. That's still called the Hole in the Wall, and I think the Eat Here and Get Gas sign has been taken down because there's no gas station there anymore. But people still talk about that too. So
Yeah, 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 for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
And,
it's
With the new community center in Cadomin, do you feel like that was like in the last couple of years? Does that feel like it's bringing more people in, kind of re-energizing the community a bit?
I think so. I mean, it's such a prominent building too, right? It's right in the heart of Cadomin there, and we've been fortunate enough with the support of the Cadomin Community Society to be able to host the artisan fair there the last two Labor Day long weekends every Saturday now the last 2 years, and that's become a huge, almost quasi reunion of sorts. I know Joe Pazamera, one of the OG coal branchers, like his granddaughter, I believe, brought him out of the nursing home for the day, bring him down there, and he connected with Bobby Casimir. He's I think he's the fellow that spent the most years in Cadomin out of anybody, because I think Cadomin was his inception was 1922 is when the mine opened here, but Bobby's been here his whole life and he's in his 80s. So he's like, he has that unofficial plaque, I guess, or of like having spent the most years of any person ever living in the history of anywhere in Cadomin. So him and Joe got to connect there, and just it's become this whole kind of beautiful energy around like another reason to come to Cadomin. That's people can kind of hang out. They can shop at the artisan fair if they like. They can hang out with the kids' activities. We're doing live music this year. We hired a band out of Hinton for that. So and it wouldn't be possible really without the hall. We do have the Legion as well, but it's just the event itself has become so big. I think we'll have hopefully around 100 vendors this year.
Wow.
So yeah, in the middle of nowhere, right at 5,000
Yeah.
feet. And food trucks as well. So yeah, come out if you can. Bring the kids. Yeah.
Yeah, we camped like right when you're going into Cadomin. There's like the train crossing, then there's like that little lake right there. We had camped there. I think it was like the inaugural grand opening of the hall and went in and checked it out. Yeah, it's such a beautiful spot. I'm like, man, this will be perfect for weddings and events, and
Yeah.
cool to see that in Cadomin for sure.
Yeah, and they're definitely like advertising it for rental that way for exactly those reasons. And where you're camping is right next to our beaver pond. That's where the hockey happens in the winter. So
Oh,
if you guys
cool. Yeah,
are-
that's awesome. With the winds in Cadomin, you don't have to worry about shoveling off the rink. It just blows it off.
the ice is a little rippled because of it, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Just go faster. Yeah. And back to that trestle too. So have you guys had a chance to walk that old train trestle just out by Whitehorse there? The one that you can't really
Yeah.
see. Yeah. Okay. So you know then, Scott, that it's like it's not on all legs right now. Like there's a leg that's it's pretty messed up.
It's a
Yeah.
little scary. Yeah.
Yeah, because that part in the middle kind of moves a little bit there, and it's best if you don't know about the damage before you start crossing, and then when you're over it, you're like, oh,
Yeah. And you like to collect mushrooms as well. I've seen some photographs there. Is that something you learned from your European background? Again, growing up in Germany, I've been a mushroom hunter ever since I was a little kid. So I love to collect mushrooms here. And I'm just wondering, both you, Maria and George, is that something you grew up with in the area, collecting mushrooms?
Yeah. For myself, well, my parents ended up having 5 kids, and I think that was one of the main staples in our diet to be able to feed us was eggs and mushrooms because we also had livestock. So definitely a big part of that growing up was kind of collecting your dinner in a way. But and a lot of the same mushrooms that were at least in the old country are here as well, right? Like
Yeah.
the bullwheat family specifically. So. Never had morels though until I moved to Cadomin, and I found the honey hole of morel patches, which not in a burn site, which was surprising. But yeah, just an old dried out beaver dam area of all things. So, but that's all I'm gonna say about that because it's
Yeah.
yeah.
You got to keep those a secret. Yeah. How about you, George? Did you grow up
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
collecting mushrooms?
Berry picking mushrooms back, when we lived there. Of course, I think everybody did, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
and nobody hid their patches, Marie. By the way,
That's great.
yeah. So,
We do have a podcast question of the week. So we posted this on our Instagram here, and it was just which what is your favorite area to visit in the historic Alberta Coal Branch? And so there was a few people sent in some answers. Regular visits to Cadomin, of course. So that was a big one. Came in a couple times. Cardinal Divide. Scott, you sent that one in. Scott's Cardinal Divide. Rob still has some action going on there too. Whitehorse Creek. We camp out at Mercoal area every summer. And some more Cadman ones. So I mean, it's great to see that these areas are still, I mean, being utilized and people still enjoying the time out there. So thanks everyone that's sent in responses to that question because yeah, like I think just talking to George here, it's like I mean, you guys are out there every summer and you're noticing it. Are you noticing like the grandchildren of people that used to live there coming out now, George, like want to get some history? Is that kind of like the vibe in Merkel now, or what's the view out there?
yes, they are. There's quite a bit of that happening, and some folks have enlarged their places, and some have put a trailer alongside their property for the rest of the family. And there's every single year there's people come by, they knock on the door, and they said, how do we get a place here? Well, with the county, when the government said they were going to throw us out, so what happened was that the province doesn't look after it anymore. It's auspices of the Yellowhead County. So I think whatever it is, they sold 4 square miles to the county for $1, and now the county won't let anybody any more properties go up outside of the lots that are there. There's 2 designated lots, but they won't say anything about them. But that's the sad part. As I said, Rob Cadomin, you can. Well, I don't think there's any lots left in Cadomin to purchase. Is there?
Not publicly, but there's rumblings that there's lots being developed behind the motel and some gravel being moved in there. So I don't know much more about that factually anyway.
And Rob, I mean, I don't know what situation there is. And if Rob, I don't know what they have going in the town there, if they could clean it up a little bit, that would be a good spot. And the guy that bought the hotel there, and he's got the bar and he's got the cafe, and he's really trying. Like he had a couple outdoor concerts there, I think 3-4 years, and he had bands come in and things like that. But the townspeople are shunning him, and that's a sad thing. We talked about the unity and the closeness of small towns, and something's happened there that he's not getting any support from, and that's kind of sad. So. Yeah, it's because there's no place to eat up there. Cadomin, that she's closed her kitchen down, and there's no place to eat, no place to get gas. But I have to tell you, if you ever close by Mercoal, I have all those good things mentioned there. So just stop by.
Perfect. Yeah. I do want to hear too, Marie, about your event coming up. Is it June? Can you give us some details of what's happening in Cadomin in June?
For sure, June 27th of this year. It's the first inaugural. Hopefully there'll be multiple ones after that. But it's going to be called the Coal Miner Sacrifice. And part of my deep dive into the history out here was just learning about a lot of the coal mining disasters that have occurred since the Coal Branch inception, and even just deaths and loss through other ways, like the Spanish flu between 1918 and 1920. I think by Lovett, which was, I think, the first coal mine that was actually started in the whole Coal Branch. There's a cemetery that's on private land now, but there's 37 burial sites there, and the majority of them, I believe, are from the Spanish flu, and the majority of them were children. So just like the loss kind of from start to finish of the whole Coal Branch, right? And of I guess just all that came with that. But so just trying to kind of bring up some of that history in a way that we can, keep those stories, keep the keep it known, and really just honor the sacrifices, and hopefully tie that in with our new hall and creating more historical displays, which I know that the Yellowhead County and the Heritage Grant Program has been really fantastic for helping to get pictures hung up and helping us develop posters and whatnot. So that's an ongoing work in progress, but the event itself will be a fundraiser specifically for Hinton Search and Rescue, which I thought was a really neat way to kind of tie in like life in the Coal Branch and like the supports that we get from like these amazing nonprofits, to like not only just for the search and rescue piece, but just to kind of have the support there as needed in times of crisis, right? So and search and rescue was huge. I know for even just like quad accidents out here, like they would come out and help with that, and they go all over Alberta too. It's not just the Coal Branch. So, but being a nonprofit, it's all volunteer hours and everything. So our artisan fair is always a fundraiser for search and rescue, and now as well this event will be. But I still have to kind of walk the loop. But from my trail run that I did a couple of years ago, I anticipate it'll be about a 5-mile kind of looped run, all within the vicinity of Cadomin. So I'm hopeful that one, it'll feel like a really nice kind of family event where even if there's like one runner in the family or one hiker or one mountain biker, because it'll be open to all those modes of travel, the family can kind of pick out different spots along, within like a mile outside of town, and cheer them on along the way. They can come into the aid station right in town every lap. If they want to do multiple laps, that's fantastic. It's going to be open for about either between 8 or 12 hours. I'll have the event open for, and people pick and choose how many laps they want to do that day, and they just pledge a dollar amount per lap that goes 100% towards search and rescue, and there's no entry fee for the event. So the community society is donating the use of the hall, so we'll have that to kind of host the event at. We anticipate there'll be probably a barbecue, and then that night, as well as the I think the Canada Day kind of annual pig roast. I think that will be either at the Legion or at the hall. So that's just another neat kind of community event that happens in Cadomin. So it should be a really big day, hopefully, and we'll get lots of people. I think from the Facebook post I did about it, I'm getting lots of interest that way, and awareness. And there's also interest in the fact that it incorporates the cemetery trails, because there's 2 cemeteries right in Cadomin, one just south and one just kind of up above the west side when you're kind of coming through the main street there. The United Church Cemetery is up there, but those trails have had some amazing work done and some new work done in the last couple of years. So not a lot of people have been on those trails yet. So it'll be a nice way to kind of incorporate the history of those cemeteries. We'll get some new signage as well, kind of announcing, the coal mining that happened there, the cemeteries as well, just the routes that the miners used to walk to work as well. We're going to hopefully get some signage along the trails too, kind of just connecting us to the historical presence that was just right there in that spot. And yeah, it should be. Oh, I think also the county is doing an event that day too. That's going to be kind of exciting. There's a commemorative map that they do. I can't remember the last one, it was 10 years ago, of the whole coal branch. And they're releasing the newest version, and they're going to do a ceremony here that day.
Wow.
Just announcing that release. So it's really just all these cool pieces kind of coming together. And yeah, and I think if you do a few laps of this trail and then you go and have a pig roast, I mean, what a great way to kind of lend itself to have an extra helping of dessert, right? So
I love it. That's great. We'll link up this event too in the show notes. So like you're encouraging people to register ahead of time, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I'll be doing more formal with the registration piece on my Facebook page, my Candles Academy Facebook page. Right now it's just kind of spreading awareness and building up the momentum of it. And yeah, just seeing like liability waivers, all that kind of pieces coming together. But yeah, even if they just message me on my Candles Academy page, I'll start a roster that way, and then they're committed. They can't back out. So
Right.
yeah.
That's great. We do have a couple would you rather questions too. Scott, you got a couple ones to go on this episode?
Yeah,
too?
I could throw something in the pot here too, but yeah.
Okay, I got one here. Okay, so these would you rather, we do these on every episode, so we'll try to dig into this one a little bit. I try to tie it in with Cadomin a little bit, I think. So would you rather deal with mud season, so like it's muddy, it's kind of slushy for 3 months, or extreme winds for 3 months? What's your preference there? Now that you live in Cadomin, Marie, is like the winds, are you just used to them now, or is it like, oh man, it's another windy day, or what?
Well, we have on our, okay, so it's like really small font on the sign, Welcome to Cadomin. It has Valley of the Winds. I didn't even see that written there when I bought my property. I was like, that should be a little bit like maybe size 12 font, not like size 6. I don't know. But,
Surprise, yeah.
and there's great stories of like whole chicken coops, and I think it was 1,000 chickens, they said in the Memories of Cadomin book, that just disappeared one night.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the coop, I think, actually hit a poor fellow, and they said every bone in his body was crushed from the wind just smacking into the chicken coop. Not a single chicken was found for that.
They can fly.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they flew all the way to Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just put up a post not long ago about like we have some snow banks in Cadomin, but there's no real snow ground cover right now because of the wind. It just blows it all to Rob. So thank you, Rob,
Yeah.
doing that on our behalf. But then if you go up to Mountain Park, which I think is almost 6,500 feet elevation, like it's one of my neighbors actually pulled out someone that was stuck going for a drive to Mountain Park last weekend. So they pulled them out the side by side just because it's the snow's there, right? But it's just higher up. But I don't know that I live in a log cabin, as you can tell, and in my south wall, like it tells the story of the wind, the UV too, but the wind especially. And I know that like if you go in any of the old books, they show pictures of cabins that were like pushed into the street. Even nowadays, like there'll be RVs that are knocked off their blocks and everything. So it's something to take seriously. And there's some of the old outhouses, sheds nowadays. They still have like the beams on the north side of them, kind of bracing them. It's the prevailing winds from the south. But which of course has become less of an issue with the winds, with the quarry chipping away at the mountain there and reducing that Venturi effect. But I don't know. For me, the winds have kind of become like that white noise, almost like you're on the ocean and the waves, and it kind of lulls me to sleep at night. But the mud, and George, you're shaking your head at me, but that mud it's not just mud, it's like clay mud, and that is nasty. And it's ripped off my my mud flaps, my fender, whatever that's called, just like the trim around your fenders, like that just ripped right off when it hangs off there. So I don't know, George, I'm wind all the way. How about you?
Yeah, what do you think, George? Would you rather 3 months of mud or 3 months of wind?
Mud.
Mud, you're on mud, yeah.
I have some photos of Laska when Laska was going, where the coal cars that were sitting on the siding to be loaded are tethered with cable. They're blowing the coal cars over. That's almost
Wow.
unbelievable. People wouldn't believe it, but that's a fact.
Yeah.
Because it goes right down that valley through Laska there.
Yeah. How about you, Scott? Mud or wind?
I think I'm gonna go mud as well. I
Yep.
mean, we don't get the same wind in Hinton, but it gets pretty strong here. My recycling was pretty stacked up and just blew all over the yard, so I was on my hands and knees picking that out of the slush yesterday. So I don't need 3 months of that.
That's
What do
how
you
we get rid of our recycling. We just leave it
Yeah.
out when it's windy and say, this
Let
is
it
the
go to
neighbor's
the
problem.
neighbors,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. How about you, George Shantz there?
Man, I think I got to go mud too now that all this I'm gonna have wind issues. Yeah, I'm gonna go with mud too. Yeah. Okay, how about this one? So, would you rather go whitewater rafting down the McLeod, like high McLeod, I guess, right? Whitewater rafting down there, or paragliding off of a mountain peak in Cadomin? Paragliding or whitewater rafting?
I like the expression on George's face.
Yeah, George, what's your what's your adventure level right now? You're in Palm Springs today.
I would take the whitewater rafting.
Did you guys spend some time going? Like, have you floated down the McLeod before living in that area?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Scott, you went down the McLeod this summer and
Yeah, I've had some adventures
some
on the
adventures.
McLeod. I've got acquainted with the river, very, very acquainted, and I still have lots of my gear that's on its way to the Arctic Ocean right now as we speak. So, I don't know how to paraglide. I'd love to try it, but I definitely kill myself without a lesson. So I think I'm going whitewater rafting as well.
Okay. What do you think, Marie?
I mean, I'm a wimp when it comes to heights, but I'm even more of a wimp when it comes to being cold. And that McLeod, like you guys are made of sterner stuff. Like, give me a few wetsuits and a wood burning stove, and maybe I'd consider it. But yeah, it never gets warm. It doesn't matter if it's August or January. I think it's the same temperature. So,
You're flying in the air then.
I guess.
Yeah. I'm with you. I want to do a little paragliding. I don't know if it's in the cards in the near future, but man, I just it's on the list of things to get into. So okay, so that's it for my would you rather. Scott, did you have any to go with that?
I got one here, which kind of I think strikes a chord with this crowd here. Would you rather have gorgeous mountain views but no electricity, or modern comforts but no close access to nature in the heart of the city? Where are you living?
Is that really a question?
Yeah, well, I don't know. One of us is in Palm Springs today.
Well, that's because I wouldn't want to be in Canada with the winds, but I'll take the mountains with no electricity.
All right. Yeah, same with you, Marie.
Yeah, 100% all day. Yeah.
I see the nice log background behind you there. That looks like a very nice log house or log cabin.
Yeah, and shout out to, I think it's Danny Barry that built it in
Oh,
80.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And White Pine, I believe. But I was fortunate enough, Randy Babala, one of the original outfitters, I think Bill Babala is well known as well, from the area. But yeah, it was their outfitting cabin, and it's absolutely beautiful. Actually, and from this cabin, I think Randy had hosted a fellow from Texas, I believe, that held the Boone and Crockett record for bighorn sheep for
Wow.
quite a few years. And when I was doing my little tour, I mean, it was amazing. There was this massive photograph of this fellow with his ram, just like right in kind of like right by the dining area. So every time you sit down for a meal, you'd see this picture, right? But then every wall had either like skins or like mounts or in there. My dog was in heaven because, and Randy doesn't know this, but there was like I think a pile of like mounts that were ready to be put up, and they're just kind of on the bedroom floor, and he was just loving, like sniffing all those mounts before he came through. So I was like, okay, I'll buy the house for my dog because he's in love.
Nice. Yeah, it looks great. What about you, Mr. Shantz? What are you doing? Heart of the city with modern comforts or no electricity?
No, I'm
The
going no
mountain views.
electricity. Yeah, the mountain views. It's I don't think I could ever go back to the city now and like Yeah, it's I mean, I love Hinton. I love going, I love being within 45 minutes of Cadomin too. I can go down there and explore. And man, we do a lot of camping. Like my dad worked at Coal Valley for 30 years, so we're, you
Oh,
know, camping down between by Rob there quite a bit. And then I just spent so much time in the area. Just love it. So um I love talking to you guys about this though, because it just seems like, Marie, it seems like you brought something back to the community. And like, I mean, for being just such a new face to Cadomin, it's like it's re-energized it, which is amazing for you to do that for like a small town. So I love seeing that. And I'm sure George, like seeing someone like Marie that has a passion for this and is sharing your guys' story must be awesome for you guys to see too.
yeah, I'm not on Facebook. Sorry, Marie. I just can't lend myself to get out there on that social media. But
Good idea. Stay
I
away
hear
from
from other folks, and I just really, really appreciate what you're doing for the Coal Branch, and you're doing a heck of a job, from what I understand. And maybe I'll go on Facebook one day. I
it.
don't have a luck, but no, I mean, just when I was home, I met some people from working with cabins for coffee, and they hauled up a bunch of stuff, a bunch of photos you put on and showed me, and they asked me where this trail was, and I said I have no idea, I never heard of it. And they said, well, Kettles the Cattleman's got it right here. Here's the picture.
Oh my God. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'll meet people that are just like, oh, like, it pops up on my feed all the time, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know how the algorithms work at all, but it's like, it's found a little spot somehow, and I'm just happy that there's so much like just the natural blessings here and in the stories to just keep kind of informing it, right? But yeah, I don't have a quad or side by side, so I haven't been able to do like Ruby Falls and all those like really like beautiful destinations but you need mechanized or horse driven ways to get out there. But hopefully at some point I'll do more of that. But yeah, if anybody wants to submit anything to share, because we get a lot of coal branchers too that have beautiful stories and pictures, and they'll email me privately and give me permission to share. And then there's always kind of cool connections or reconnections that happen from there that people are like, oh, I remember your mom or your dad and stuff. So that's the whole piece of it, right? It's just that connection. I think that since especially the pandemic, like we need that more than ever, and it's just become a neat kind of option to I guess fall into that again. So yeah.
Yeah.
Marie
George,
made me some candles with photographs on them, and I give them to guests when they stop by to visit Merkel or strangers. So,
wow.
yeah, that's see, that when I first met her, all she wanted was money. So,
Yeah. It seems like it, yeah.
That sounds so bad, James. Send me a friend request on Facebook. I'm denying it.
yeah.
George,
So nobody uses the candles; they keep them for keepsakes. So.
Mm.
George, you'd mentioned there's like 10 books on the Coal Branch. Is there any that you recommend? Like if someone wanted to like dig into the history, is there any books or literature that you recommend someone digging into?
The one that Marie mentioned earlier, "Oh, the Coal Branch" by Tony Ross.
Yeah.
That is, in my opinion, the best one. And unfortunately, she buttoned the book up early because she had cancer, and she did it. Her stuff is all the real goods. There's, I hate to say, most of the ones I saw and read are for profit. That was the motivation. And then there's two out there that it's family, about their own family, the history kind of thing. But that one, "Oh, the Coal Branch," I understand it's very tough to get now. And Charlie somehow got about 12 of them or 16 off of I don't know, Amazon or someplace, and he's holding him close to his vest. And I think he's just waiting for him to appreciate it a little more.
Treasures.
If you guys met Charlie, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh man, I love this conversation. I think this is like such a great highlight for the history of the Coal Branch. And I mean, I know we could just dig into stories all night, but George Spanach, thanks so much for coming on. If we see your light on in Mercoal this summer, we're coming in for say hi.
I'd be very disappointed if you don't, and please do, all of you, at any time. Just I'm there most of the summer.
Yeah, beautiful. Marie, we'll link up, of course, Candles of Cadomin. Your race June 29th. That's a fun one.
The 27th, yeah.
27th, sorry, yeah, 27th. Yeah, we'll follow along with that too, because I mean that's going to be a real highlight for Cadomin, and it's great to see this history kind of coming back and being appreciated more. So, thanks so much for taking the time to join us tonight. This has been awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
thanks for having me.
But George Spanach never did tell us his boxing nickname. It's I know he had one. I just wanted to get that out of him before we let him go.
Yeah, what boxing nickname? Okay, I'm curious.
Chop Spanach.
Love it. Chop Spanach. That's great.
Thanks, Marie.
You're welcome.
Thanks everyone who's tuning in and listening to this. Scott Sunderwald, your book is out now, and you've got February 1st in Jasper doing
February 1st in Jasper, book talk. So if you want to come out, have a drink there at the museum, and it's going to be bushcraft and campfire stories. Get a book signed, and yeah, it'd be great to meet you folks. So come on out.
And sorry, can I ask, what's your book?
It's called Radically Wild: True Tales of Adventure, Wilderness Survival, and Hard Lessons. It's a memoir, sort of crossbred with campfire stories growing up in the Black Forest of Germany and Western Canada, and there's a lot of close bear encounters and close calls, near-death experiences, and lessons learned the hard way there. So should be a fun read if you like some adventure stories.
Available where?
You can get it on Amazon, Friesen Press. You can just about any of the online book outlets. Just Google it and you'll find it there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
NorthernRockiesBushcraft.com got links to all that as well, and most spots in Hinton carrying that out too. You can find a lot of spots. So, yeah, I think our next episode will be coming at you live from a hot tent in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, and we're going to eat all kinds of wild game, and it's going to be a fun one. We're heading out.
It'll be good.
So, yeah. Thanks everyone that's been listening and sending in ideas and guests, and it's been awesome. So if you want to get a hold of us, wildernesswave@outlook.com, one of the best ways to do it, or follow us on Instagram and Facebook and leave us a review wherever you're listening. Okay, until next week, stay wild.
Wilderness Wavelength.